about that. Yeah.
All right. Well, I met him in a hangar at Dayton, Ohio, and I met him in another hangar. I don't know why we were meeting in hangars. We met somewhere in San Diego, I believe, near Qualcomm, later on in life. So I think I met him in San Diego because I was over at Balboa. Now, Stanton Friedman and I were working on the Jesse Marcel case back at the time when Bill Tompkins was involved. And then when I went to Jesse Marcel's house in Louisiana, he said we just missed the guy earlier, but the men in black had us go into Jesse's house at midnight. They picked me up in a Navy van. So this is a whole story that's separate from the Allied command. So that's another thing that you and Amad need to know, if y'all are going to help me, is the fact that there's stories within stories inside this whole 1969 that Dr. Scott is going to, it's myself. Dr. Scott,
you're fixing to.
Well, Dr. Scott needs to know there's a bunch of other things that was going on the whole time she was in. It's just people weren't allowed to talk to her about it, or any other investigator for that matter, right? So, Dr. Scott, how would we arrange for this? Because Ken is with us, and Dr. Tompkins is gone, but me and Ken aren't going to be around very much longer. He's going on 78. I'm going on 68, and I'm barely holding my bilocation in this body right now.
Same age, you know.
I would write down everything you possibly know, and that way you can have a record of it.
Yeah, get it written.
People can
I keep
study
saying, get it written. So even when you're dead, they can study it if you can get it written. But that's the hard. See, a lot of these people that have been in the secret space program have problems doing their timeline. And so one of the super soldiers, Rodriguez, and they can't go linear. They can't do it sequentially. They can't get it written. And so only bits and pieces. I think it's trauma induced by, whoever's controlling this program. They don't want them to tell the full story, so they have troubles focusing and doing a timeline. Thomas and I are going to work with TJ and hopefully get a timeline out of her, because it ties in, and I've been doing the bigger picture, right? I stepped outside of the box and I look at everybody's stories, and there is you mentioned the sexy stuff, and that's it. I'll just say this. I'll give you guys a hint. Watch, what's it called? The Angel. It's on CBS, Strange Angel. And there's a tie-in with the sexiness. Then that was going on with what's his name, Bill Tompkins. They were having these sexy parties.
No offense, Janet. I'm not trying to make this go south or twisted, but you saw whatever that was, and I wasn't even trying to use it. But even at old age guys, Dr. Scott, I met Janet and Sasha. In his mind or in our mind for the first time.
Yeah,
but
I don't want to share that in public.
No, I mean,
just
the fact that we met. And Janet is a very good tantrika, and so am I. But we understand the reality that there is a level of energy that people can address that has something to do extraterrestrially, that's used, that we've got to find a scientific way to do that. So you're saying they're addressing that in this television show?
It's fictionalized. It's kind of like, and it's fictionalized, but it's what was in Tompkins' books, and it's what you were saying. You were saying that you were very tall and gorgeous and sexy, so they use sexuality with their agents. It's just like you saw it in the 60s. What was that called? The spies. James Bond. It's just like James Bond. And that factor goes through NASA. It goes through NASA, and it goes through the spies, and it goes through this movement. And that's what they talk about, the girls that came from Germany. When you were around them, the guys' tongues were all falling out. And when they're in the room, there was this sexual energy, and the guys' tongues are hanging out, and they're trying to work.
They could
not concentrate. But these girls
keep them on. We wound up being their handlers, because we have to focus them and tell them, no, do this or do that, and you need to do this. It's to keep them on target. But we were psychic, Janet. We had to keep them working together. I helped a lot of
they
engineers.
was a control. They used sexuality at the Montauk Project, and you can look and see the sexual energy. The Greys are always having humans not only just taking their eggs and sperm, but they have humans copulating with each other on ship. And there's some kind of they feed on the energy of other people's emotions and sexual experiences. So that's one part that most scientific people, quote unquote, won't look at. But it's like, we need to look at this, and that's one of the puzzling things about Bill Tompkins, and now he's dead. But if you read his book, you'll get some clues on a part that gets left out of the UFO movement. UFOs and sexuality. That's a book that needs to be written. I don't think I could do it, but I've looked at it.
I want to deal with that part of it, but Ken has a copy. I never got a copy or read his book. I just felt like I didn't, if I ever get this story straight, I didn't want it filtered into my story. I didn't want to read his book, and then maybe my brain thinks it's my thoughts. I didn't want to do that. So that's why I haven't read his book. It's just out of self-protection for my own life story. And I've got to do Tom's story, so I don't need to do William Tompkins' story. But, they cross paths, just like Dr. Scott's crossing our path. This is the second time. And I know there's
over
something with her.
Time, just wanted to give you a heads up. It's 6 minutes past the hour. Yeah, just wanted to let you know that.
Dr. Scott, we would love to have you back again and just to discuss things other than your past life or my past life. But let's do this again. Maybe when do you speak at the MUFON? The 26th. We got.
Today's the 20th.
Yeah, I'll be back. I'll be back here on just a minute. I'll be finished on the I think on the 28th, on the 29th. I'll be back on the 30th.
Maybe we can have you back again in a couple of weeks before you go, maybe around the 15th or something, because you're speaking at the MUFON 50th Anniversary Symposium, folks, Saturday, July 27th through Monday, July 29th at the Hotel Irving in Irvine, California. It's called the MUFON Symposium. It's a really big deal for UFO enthusiasts, researchers, historians, authors, artists alike. Please look into it for something to do July 27th through the 29th. And we would appreciate you mentioning you heard it right here on TJMRCT Radio, so we would appreciate that. Dr. Scott, it's been wonderful. Janet and Tom, our hosts and producers, and Thomas Becker and Janet Lesson. Sasha is her husband, Dr. I've been working with him off and on for years and probably for eons and lifetimes. So thank you, everybody, and the magazine hopefully will be finished soon.
It is, and it's on your Skype for your check or approval.
Oh, wow. Okay. Wow. So it's asking me something. It says, will I accept it? What does that mean?
Yeah, download it, and that's the finished version, and I've got it so it can be altered. So that's just
all right. Well, let's put Dr. Scott in the next issue when she comes back from speaking. And
I have an advertisement for her in this one.
Oh, really? All right, Dr. Scott, we're already promoting you in our first magazine.
Good.
So you're going to be one of our spokesperson for our ACO and our Allied Command. How about that? So,
how about it?
Yeah, that's pretty good. Doctor, we'd like to have you back, and thank you so much for your valuable time, and I still want to work with you any way I can, so please put me in your, I would say Rolodex. That's how old I am, folks. I tell people put me in a Rolodex. Put me in your cell phone.
Okay.
And
let's get TJ in that cell phone.
Okay.
Yeah, that was a good image.
Dr. Scott, we can find you on Facebook. That's just basically what we all use because we're all friends on Facebook. You're Dr. Irene McCammon Scott. Is that what you want? McCammon Scott? Is that your name on Facebook?
Yeah, that's because there's several Irena Scott, so I distinguished myself.
Good job. Yeah, I had to do Teresa J. Morris, although on Facebook I have the name THERESA MORRIS, folks. That's me. It's just there's already 5K, but there's TJ Morris Agency, which I use as my business name, but they allowed me to have that. And I've got 10 or 20 more. And the reason was they were only allowing me 5,000. I was filling those up so fast. But I've cleaned up a bunch of them because some of them were bots. And we can get into that later. Thank you, everybody. I guess we'll do this, Sunday with Brett Luter, I believe. And I guess, Doctor, if you can come in a couple of weeks, we'll have more notice that you'll be here if you can make it on another Friday night. So just stay in touch with us on Facebook and Ahmad. And by the way, just let us know, and we'll put any information you want out there on the website. So on our association, UFO Association and UFO Association and all of that. Okay, I'll get your books and your links and make you a page. Okay?
Well, thank you.
Oh, yeah, you bet. All right, love and light, everybody. Janet, call me later. And Ahmad, I'm going to look at your magazine.
I'll give you a call. I'll give you a call when we hang up. Much love and blessings. Aloha. Thank you.
We'll have Dr. Scott back, hopefully, if she'll agree in a couple of weeks, okay? Thank you, Dr. Scott.
Yeah.
Here at ACO Radio, American Communications Online, or any affiliated stations or websites are not responsible for what guest hosts or call-ins may say. All programming is intended for informational and entertainment purposes only.